like I am secure, I am good, I am successful, and the things that I want in my life, I say them as if they are, and we say it
Wow.
out loud.
Welcome to Unfiltered Creativity.
I'm Sri,
I am Mounima.
and we are both on a journey to live a more creative life.
We are so excited and grateful to have you all along this ride.
This is an open space to have dialogues about productivity, mindfulness, art, music, personal growth, entrepreneurship, and many, many more.
And today we'll be talking about how to invest in ourselves.
When we are feeling down, specifically.
This episode is for me. I can feel it already. So, the past 2 years have been really challenging for all of us, and we've all had our own time and space to experience our own feelings and to combat with our own stress, or let it be anything.
I remember during one of the lockdowns when I read an article on the New York Times about the term languishing, and
Yeah.
it really resonated with me in a very big way. So languishing itself, I mean, it's not burnout, there's still energy. And it's not depression, it's more of like a joyless, aimless state. And things are monotonous, our days feel like, exactly the same day, repeating over and over. And it also comes with this feeling of grief of things that we're not getting to enjoy. And I think that feeling has really resonated with me and a lot of people during this pandemic because, we've had this feeling that we're not functioning at full capacity.
Yeah.
And I know like how that manifested itself for me was it became a lot harder for me to focus. It made me a lot more prone to procrastination. And I think not having so many distractions, like as you mentioned, Ontario lockdown was quite restrictive. So there was many months we didn't see people. And I think taking away the distractions of a social life gave me a lot of quiet space.
Yeah.
And it put me in this thought process of like, what am I even doing with my life, And it's like the same work, the same people, the same walls that I'm just looking at day after day.
I remember reading it. You've sent the article, you shared that article with me on Instagram when I posted a series of stories about how I was feeling. I was ranting on those stories. So, languish is a very interesting word, and of course, I learned it from you. So that day when I posted the series of stories I was talking about, I was totally burnt out while working out. Like, I had to put in a lot of effort to get to my yoga mat and actually work out. So I was exhausted. The process of getting to that yoga mat was exhausting me. I was like, why is it happening? Like, why is all this happening? It's supposed to, workout is supposed to relax and calm me down, right? Why am I feeling stressed about it? I've got my mirror from the room to the living. I've set my space up and I was trying to work out, but it just won't happen. Yeah, that's when I was so frustrated and I got so annoyed with that feeling, and I posted those stories and we talked about it. So that's nothing but languish, I guess. So it was like a joyless, aimless state with all these questions like, why am I here? What am I doing? What's the point of all of this?
And I think like one thing that helped me, and I think it helped you a little bit as well, was actually recognizing what that state was called. I think admitting to ourselves almost that this is what I'm in, I'm not alone, and I have a way to define it and a way to, understand how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I think it gave us a little bit of motivation in a sense to combat it. I think it gave us a framework of maybe what we needed to do.
Yeah.
And over the past couple of months, we've both come out of that a little bit. We do find ourselves in those moments, but I like to think that we have a really good list of tips and tricks and things that we can talk about today, that if you are also feeling the way that we did, there is hope and there is a way to be
in a better place.
Be in a better place, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So there were particularly two biggest challenges for me during the entire pandemic, I guess. The first one is to be productive, which we talked about in episode 2. So, yeah, guys, if you want to know more about productivity, you can listen to our episode 2. Then, the second challenge and the most important challenge is to find the purpose and calmness. I think the second one is much more challenging and much more harder than we think. Would you like to share some tips around it, maybe?
Let's start with productivity since it's a little
Okay.
bit easier.
Yeah.
And then we'll jump into finding calmness and purpose, because you're right, it was definitely a more involved process for me. And it's a lot harder to change a mindset. But in terms of productivity, one thing we talked about in episode 2 as well was planning the day really helps to just stay on track. I think one challenge with that feeling of languishing is a lack of purpose. So even if it's something as simple as, today you have to wash your hair and sweep the kitchen and,
Yeah.
clean your kettle, you definitely like putting that down and checking things off the list really helped me feel like, okay, I am capable of getting stuff done. It doesn't have to have a greater purpose, but I'm getting stuff done. So that was really helpful to me. The other thing as well is I know for sure that creative outlets really calm me. And this is a creative podcast after all. But one thing that I made sure that I did consistently was I made sure I included time in my day to do something creative. And definitely one of the side effects of feeling in that joyless state is probably a lack of that creative energy. And it does come in waves. But forcing myself almost to spend that time doing something that I know gave me a little bit of calm is helpful. And that's probably like working out for you, right?
Yes. Just like how art is for you, like how art calms you down, I think workout calms me down. But the most important, the most biggest challenge here is to get to that point, to get to my yoga mat or to get to my weights or to get to the gym or wear my gear and go for a run or jog. I think that's the biggest challenge. That's the challenge for me, the discipline. I know that it's quite rewarding after workout because I love the endorphins rush I get after finishing my workout. But how do I get to that point? That's the question. I procrastinate. I say to myself that it's okay. I've had a tiring day. I think my body needs rest. It deserves rest. So I'm just gonna push the workout to the next day. Tomorrow morning, at any cost, I'll wake up at 6:30 or 7 in the morning. I'll go for a walk or I'll go for a run. So,
I think giving ourselves the space to do that also does help with combating the languishing, right? Like sometimes there are days that I just don't want to start something creative. I don't want to bring out my art pencils or my paints, and I don't want to set up. But I think what you just said that you did is just the exact right thing to do, right? If you're really not feeling up to something at this moment, give yourself a deadline. Say, I'm not going to do it now, but definitely I'm going to set myself up. I'm going to keep my, in your case, keep my outfit ready. I'm going to have my yoga mat open. I'm going to have my mirror set up so that tomorrow when I wake up, I'm setting myself up to get this task done. And I think motivation is something that you can't count on in that state of languishing. That motivation is not going to come, but the one thing that you need to be able to count on and we need to continue to build in our lives is that discipline. And I've seen you do that. I've seen how myself doing that has helped me as well. And finding myself now in one of the more creative periods is probably thanks to just the discipline of saying every day or whenever I can, I will make set myself up for success.
I think discipline is underrated. Most of the people, they talk about motivation all the time, but they do not talk about this point called discipline or how to achieve to that point called discipline. But I think I also do reward myself when I'm disciplined in a day, when I do my tasks as planned. So for example, if I had to go sit in the library and work for 3 hours from 2 to 5, I say to myself after 5 o'clock, while going back home, I'm going to buy a croissant or I'm going to buy an apple pie on the way from Aroma Coffee Bar for myself, sit somewhere and just eat it. Or small things like these, sweet and cute things like these, they can be rewarding. And I think things like these will keep you motivated and also disciplined.
I agree. And I think especially when we're talking about this in the construct of languishing, it's nice to have something to look forward to that's a little different from the regular routine, right? And when I was in probably my deepest point of languishing, I think it was the routine that was almost killing me. So that small little thing of like, I'm going to go, sit outside and have a latte or have a croissant. Like those are little moments that it gives me something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And the only person I'm fighting against and the only person I'm, trying to win over is myself. This is based on my own work. I'm not competing. So
to tell you all, we are recording all this podcast like in a day. So I wanted to look forward to something, and that's when I told you, let's go out for dinner after finishing the recording of all the episodes today. And I am looking forward to it actually. I want to do a great job at recording all this podcast and go have that nice dinner meal and just relax and feel good about it.
I completely agree. So, those are little things that we can do to set ourselves up in terms of keeping ourselves motivated. But can you tell us a little bit about what you do to your environment? Like, do you make any changes to your environment, and does that help you stay on track?
Yes, it does. I mean, recently I've discovered what works for me. I haven't explored all of that arena until now when I was in Hyderabad. But now, since I'm living alone, away from family, I had to tweak my routines and habits a bit. I'm enjoying it so far. I bought smart device. I think you have a Google Home.
I do have a Google Home, yeah.
Yeah, so I keep playing some lo-fi music all day, especially while I'm working.
Can you explain to us what lo-fi music is?
So lo-fi music is mostly instrumental. There's no lyric or there's no song in between for you to, hum or,
get caught up in the music.
Yeah. It's mostly instrumental. And yeah, it's just so relaxing. There is a playlist called Lo-Fi Music on Spotify, so you can just say, Alexa, play Lo-Fi. That's what I do. And apart from that, I also keep my phone away while I'm working. That is like the thumb rule for me, because I know how distracted I can be when my phone is around me. I can't like sit constantly on a table and chair and work for long hours. So I do start by working at a table, but then I'll slowly slide to my bed. I make myself comfortable and I'll start doing my assignment or, plan for something or study for that matter. Yeah, lo-fi works wonders for studying. What about you? What's your favorite work position?
Yeah, I think creating a comfortable environment for working is really important for me too. And I think it depends on what type of work I'm doing. And I really need to try this lo-fi music because I get distracted by regular music. Like if I'm listening to a Bollywood music, I'm singing along that doesn't really work for me. So I should try these kinds of music and see if it helps. But definitely for me, like I like my space to look and feel inspiring. And I think people think of home decor as a purely aesthetic thing. But for me, it really does inspire me. Like when I come into my office, I really feel inspired to do good work because it's a nice space. It makes me feel good. Yeah. And that is important to me. The other thing that is important to me as somebody in their 30s is having an ergonomic workspace. So as much as I would love to work in bed, I don't know if my back would agree with me. So I have, I do have an adjusting desk. I have a chair that goes up and down. I've kind of set myself up in that way. And in terms of creativity, again, it's like creating the space that works best for me, right? I have a space in my house that gets a lot of light. So I know it's in the middle of my living room, but that is where I sit to paint because I feel really inspired by the light and the music. And so I think it really depends on the task I'm doing, but completely agree that the surroundings do inspire the quality of work that you create. Definitely these kinds of things. I don't like to work in a cluttered environment. I am very prone to be a cluttered human being.
Oh.
But I do know that when my space is clean, sometimes I light a candle. We have a candle lit here today.
Yes.
We have some fresh flowers. Like, these are things that make me feel like my space is fresh and clean.
Yeah.
My mind is fresh and clean, and that does help. And I think one thing you mentioned about the quotes on the wall is a really great transition into the harder part of combating that languishing feeling, which is finding that peace and kind of changing the mindset. So do you have any suggestions on things that you've done that have helped you be in a more positive mindset as we have gone through these difficult times?
While I was in Hyderabad before moving to Toronto, I picked up the side of a wall and basically wrote everything that's going on in my mind onto a sticky note. So I had like too many things to do, I said, right? So I had my visa to do, so I was like, visa. I had some content to create, so I've put that. I've had some bank work to do. So the thing is, sometimes mind also gets cluttered. So in order to declutter that, you need to put down all those thoughts in a visible space where you can see them all the time, and the relief after that thing is finished and you just take out the sticky note. It's just so good, so rewarding. So I do that even now in my room. I have like, at least on an average, there are 6 to 7 sticky notes always on my wall. I'll be like, okay, let me think about this sticky note tomorrow. I'm going to sort this and I'm going to tear this off. So I think systems like that have helped me a lot. And there's always something written on my mirror as well. some quote like, I got this, or you got this, girl.
Yeah, I mean, affirmations for me have been really helpful. And I know that, I do tend to be an anxious person. I can get anxiety, and it's something that I'm always working on. And one thing that me and my partner, my husband, do is we actually say affirmations out loud.
Okay.
And the way that we phrase them is like as if they are already true in our life. Like, I am secure, I am good, I am successful, and the things that I want in my life, I say them as if they are, and we say it out loud to each other. And I think that helps subliminally. Like, in that moment, it might feel a little bit silly, but I think it changes the thought patterns a little bit in terms of like, you are working towards something and there is a reality you want to create for yourself, and those like little micro changes in thought patterns are really helpful. And I think you kind of do that with your mirror, right?
Yes.
We say it out loud.
Saying it out loud, I think it needs a lot of courage, is what I feel. I'm always scared to say affirmations like that out loud. There is some sense of doubt there still, which I have to overcome.
This is something that I've been working to overcome, to be honest. And I don't know if this is a cultural thing, but when growing up, we were actually told not to say those things out loud because of the evil eye. And it's like, oh, you're gonna put an evil eye on this thought and it'll not happen. So, when you write an exam, instead of saying, I am going to get a good grade, it was like, no, don't say anything until the exam is done and the results are in your hand.
Don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it. And that concept of jinxing, I think, has really created, I'm seeing it now, right? And I think it's different for different people. But personally, for me, I think it is a negative cycle for myself.
Yes.
Because in an attempt to not jinx things, I'm actually not acknowledging
or affirming.
I'm not affirming things that can be a reality, and I'm not even acknowledging the work that I've put in. If I study for an exam, I should be able to walk out and say with confidence, I'm going to get a good grade.
Yeah.
Right? And absolutely, we talked about this earlier, the results are not in our control, but I think affirming that for ourselves, saying these things out loud, acknowledging the work that you do, I've been starting to do this in the last little while, and it's been really, really crazy in how the thought patterns have changed. And I'll give you an example, right? I recently had a print pack that went out on my website.
Okay,
and
yes.
For the first time ever, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some affirmations on this before I post it. And I post something on my website all the time, and I'm a very small and new business.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this one is going to be successful. I've done my research. I have a very creative release plan. I know that this is the aesthetic that people have in their homes. So this is going to be a good one. And then I posted it, and it ended up being my best seller.
Oh my God.
In a week, I sold more than I've probably sold in the last 2 months. It was really crazy.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was really a crazy thing that happened. And I think it validated to myself that, there is a concept of over jinxing. You don't want to be overconfident. You want to remain humble.
Yeah.
But it's okay to acknowledge that you can have happiness. You can have trust. You can have peace. Like, you deserve those things. And, I wish I did that earlier in my life. I wish I affirmed, healthy relationships, good friendships, and brought that energy into my life. So that's something I'm working through. This whole jinx concept, it's so ingrained. And even today, if I tell my family or my mother especially, like, oh, I had this really successful sale, she'll be like, okay, this was one successful sale, we'll see the next one. And I think such a pattern I've seen in South Indian parents, right?
I know. Oh God. One thing I want to say here is, don't be scared to say out your affirmations loud. Don't be scared to manifest. Don't be scared to ask or manifest what you want. We should just do some affirmations together, like just a couple of them
Let's
just
do
for
it.
fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to say, by the end of 2021, Merch Better will do SPB Sir's official merch, and it's going to be successful.
Liberating, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say that by the end of 2021, I am going to launch a completely unique and new product on Sri's Arts, and it's going to be a game changer.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes, it is going to be.
All right, if you are listening, pause this, take a moment, say it out loud, liberate yourself.
I think it's a life hack.
All right, well, I'm glad. I think this is a new thing for me as well. I think I probably learned it through something I saw on Instagram or TikTok, to be honest. But yeah, I think, the more that we can share these tips that we have to combat some of the languishing feelings that we also have, I think that's the goal, right?
Yeah, well, I hope our listeners also got something out of this. They
do.
are feeling powerful and unstoppable right now after saying those affirmations out loud.
If you did feel something saying those affirmations, I would say find us on social media.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know how you felt, and we would love to know if we're changing things, if we're making a little tiny impact in this world.
Yeah,
it would make our day.
Difference. Yeah.
I think one other thing, this is something we both do, and we've talked about this briefly before, Mounima, is gratitude journaling.
Yes.
And I actually started gratitude journaling a couple of years ago. I was going through a very difficult time in my personal life, relationships and things like that. And I started it as a way to pull myself out of a very bad funk that I was in. Okay. And the way I set it up, and when I started, I was doing this in a very dedicated way, right? And every single day, no matter what, before I went to bed, I would write down 5 things I was grateful for that day. And it was absolutely transformational. And now I don't do it so regularly, but when I do feel like I'm feeling anxious or down, or like during this Corona period for sure, I found myself opening up my gratitude journal, writing down a new date, and just writing 5 things I was grateful for.
I started doing this actually a couple of years ago, but I wasn't consistent with it. It's a weekly thing for me. It's not every day.
Yeah.
There is this column there saying, I am thankful for, and it's blank. So that's where I write all the things I'm grateful for during that week. What good things had happened that week. I'm like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. But I think making it an everyday habit will also help. Then you'll start appreciating every small thing. I that's what I feel.
When I was going through that bad funk, and the reason I do this when I'm going through funks, right?
Yeah.
And when I am going through a funk, it is consistent for me. Like, I will do it a couple of days in a row.
Awesome.
And the reason that I do that is for the reason that you mentioned, right? And actually, looking back on the things that I have been grateful for, it kind of is a very grounding experience, because the things that I've been grateful for haven't actually been the things I thought I would be grateful for.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you know, when something difficult is going through your life, a breakup or, you know, you lost your job or all of these difficult life moments, it's very easy to get into a funk and lose that sense of gratitude. But looking back on my life, I was not grateful for those things to begin with. It's the things that I'm grateful for is like a really warm, sunny day, you know, getting a latte in the afternoon with my sister, you know, having a nice meal with my family. Like, it's always the little things. And
Always.
and doing it every day is a very big reminder of what those little things actually are.
Yeah.
And to actually, you know, it's a very humbling experience, because it's like, no matter what difficult times I'm going through in my life, I can always get a coffee with my sister. And like, it's like those little things that, you know, you can find those little moments and be like, yeah, I can always find gratitude. Like, there will always be another sunny day, and I will be able to feel that sun wash over my face, and I will always have that feeling. Or like, you know, I can always make myself a filter coffee and sit in the morning. And like, those little things, you don't need anything extra for those things. So my sister had this really great idea for this, actually. She has a photo highlight for each year on her phone. It's saved on the cloud.
Okay.
So it's like 2020, all of the top photos of 2020.
Nice.
And I think it's very easy. Like, I know when I was in that period of languishing, it was very easy to be like, oh my goodness, what did I even do in 2020? Like, all my shows were canceled and I didn't get anything done. And, you know, but looking back on her highlights, because I was a part of a lot of them, it was like, you know what, actually, it wasn't a bad year. Like, there were some nice things that happened. We explored some new hiking and we did some very unique things, and those things brought us peace. And I think the photos help. And I really like the idea of like having a little highlight reel for your own life.
Yeah.
So just to be like, yeah, actually, maybe it wasn't a bad summer.
That's nice.
One thing I know about you, Mounima, and I'm curious about, is you also journal and write down the negative thoughts you have.
Yeah, I
and
do.
this is something that, you know, I definitely do not do, because I don't want to give attention to my negative thoughts. But I'm curious about how it helps you, and, you know, maybe it's something that might resonate with some of our listeners.
Yeah. It's totally fine if you don't want to deal or give that attention and power to those negative thoughts. But for me, it just keeps bothering me. It just pokes me so much that I can't let it out of my brain. So at one point, they were controlling me. Those kind of thoughts were controlling me rather than me controlling my own thoughts. That's when actually, you know, people suggest, you know, start meditating and stuff like that. But meditation, again, I know you said you'll talk in a different podcast, but I can't meditate, Srinidhi. So apart from meditation, I asked my therapist, what else can I do? Please give me anything else, some other solution other than meditation. So what she suggested me is, so when you have a negative thought, you either acknowledge it and put it on a piece of paper and burn it.
Oh, I like burning it.
But yeah,
that's
okay, when I'm having a disturbed day or a low day because of anything, let it be a fight with my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of my disturbed days start as well.
Oh my God. Yeah, whatever comes to my mind that is bothering me and whatever is undermining my self-esteem, you know, I write all of that down and I just burn it. Yeah, I do burn it.
See, I didn't know about the burning part, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The only time I write down things that make me feel bad is when I have to edit a text before I send it out. And then I have to do like a little draft text message. But nothing about that is healthy, and it doesn't make me feel better.
Yeah.
But no, I really like the idea of finding a way to set those negative thoughts free.
Yeah. Apart from this, I have a few other ways my therapist told me. One of it is when you have a negative thought and you know that it's there on your mind, you immediately have to be mindful and start using your 5 senses. So for example, the other day I was sitting in the subway and I was traveling to my workplace, and just the negative thought doesn't come knocking your door, right? It just barges in.
Oh, yes.
And it did. What I practice is I start using at least 3 senses of all the 5 senses we have. So this is what I did in the subway. I was looking out, and then I was trying to feel the cold air and listen to the music, focus on the music. So I've used my ears, eyes, and touch. And then whoosh, I don't have that negative thought anymore.
That's
I've
amazing.
Diverted. Yeah.
Yeah, see, like, I've heard count to 10 and I don't find that calming. I feel like as I'm counting, I'm getting more and more angry.
Oh.
But I do like this idea. And I've actually heard this in another, almost as a meditation concept, right? It's like, it's the 4-3-2-1 method.
Okay.
Where when you wake up, you take a moment to be mindful, right? And meditation isn't for everyone. I think we'll have a full podcast about that. But you count 4 things that you see. 3 things that you feel. So like, I feel a breeze from the window. I feel the chair upon my legs, you know. I feel the armrest brushing against my arm. 3 things I feel, or my clothes touching my body. And then it's 2 things you hear and 1 thing you smell. And you kind of go through that 4-3-2-1, and it's like supposed to be a way to ground yourself.
Yeah.
And I liked that idea, and I really like the idea of employing something like that for an angry thought. I'm working on that. I know when I get angry thoughts, I let them consume me. Sometimes I react. It's not healthy. I'm still not there yet, but you know, we do have an episode on therapy. Maybe we'll learn some more tips from both of our therapists.
Yes. I mean, we have to have a full episode on therapy. I don't think a full episode is enough also.
No.
But let's...
Yeah, I think in season 1 we're really covering some broad topics, and as we kind of progress
on a high level.
Yeah, we're really going to be digging into some of these topics. We want to hear from you on which ones you like. But you know, if we were to summarize this topic on languishing, I would say that over the past 2 years especially, but I think people have experienced this in the past, we have been feeling that things are not moving. We're living the same day over and over again. We're stuck in a routine, and that's a very difficult place to be in. And you know, there are things that you can do in terms of being productive or just being disciplined and getting stuff done, just so that you're always moving forward. And then creating these practices in your life, whether it's meditation, journaling, you know, burning up your negative thoughts, whatever it may be, to find that sense of inner peace. I know that I personally have felt a lot better over the past couple of months, employing some of these practices, acknowledging how I feel, acknowledging my languishing, giving myself that self-love and the space to kind of come out of it. How do you feel over this past couple of months since we had that talk?
Yeah, I think I feel really good and well now. I am definitely in a better place. I have also employed all of these things or tips we have discussed on the podcast, as I said. And one affirmation I always say it out loud now or write down on a piece of paper is, it has been a challenge for me to transition from my home to a new country altogether, especially midst, pandemic. So I wasn't sure for the first couple of months. I was like, what am I doing here again? But then I keep saying it out loud. I am exactly where I need to be. I still do it. I still believe that I'm exactly where I need to be.
That's powerful.
Yeah, I'm exactly where I need to be, and I'm so glad I'm doing this to myself. And
I love that. I think maybe we can end with that, and the affirmation that I tell myself is, I am enough.
I am enough.
And I am exactly where I need to be.
And I'm exactly where I need to be.
So I think on that note, we will end this podcast. You can find us on Instagram. You can find Mounima at...
It's Mounima.
And you can find me at Sri's Arts. So make sure you follow us there.
And also follow us on all the podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many, many more. And also YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel called Unfiltered Creativity.
So looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Take care.